Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the ScissorCraft channel. Welcome back to another texture pack release video. Today I'm going to be releasing Funky Monkey 16X, which is the texture pack that I made for my brother, and is also the one that I used in the montage from yesterday. Alrighty, guys, I think you guys are going to like this pack a lot. It's definitely the best one. Well, I don't know. It's definitely a great one. Let's get right into the video. Alrighty, guys, before we get into the texture pack, as always, I better give you a little disclaimer here. I don't own everything in this pack. I made a little bit more texture than in the last texture pack, but since I'm just new to texture pack making, I did not make all original textures. Most of these are from Nebula 16X Default Recolor, and this is not mostly my texture pack, so just be warned. I'm not only going to talk about the textures that I made also, so also keep that in mind. Yeah, most of these textures are from the Amethyst 16X, or not the Amethyst 16X, Nebula 16X Default Recolor, by Looshy for Intel Edits. The Default Recolor of Amethyst 16X has, longer swords than the other colors, I believe, which I believe is done to be closer to the actual default texture pack, because as we all know, the default texture pack has very long swords, so it kind of makes sense that they made the Nebula 16X default recolor to have longer swords. But that's kind of a key point in this, because basically these swords that I made, these are original textures. However, I made these from the Nebula 16X default recolor swords, which are longer than the other Nebula swords, and I added these much more elaborate hilt onto the sword, which makes for a really nice looking sword in my opinion. It looks very clean. It's I really like the fancy hilt, which looked good on my Scissor Fault texture pack with the short swords, but looks even better with longer swords in my opinion. So I'm pretty proud of the sword texture. Besides just changing the hilt, though, I also, of course, recolored the actual diamond sword, which is the main point of this texture pack. So, when I asked my brother what he wanted in his texture pack, he wanted it to be a different color from just regular old default. Now, you're probably wondering why I picked the default recolor for that, and the reason is because he asked for the two colors to be default blue and yellow. So I realized that I could have just made, some textures blue, some textures yellow, but I thought it would look the best if I created some sort of gradient to make it unique. So basically, this is neither a default colored pack nor a yellow themed pack. It's a gradient. So if you look at this diamond sword, it starts yellow and then moves into blue. You have no idea how difficult it was to actually create that gradient and make it look good. But this is what I eventually ended up with as the actual color. And this is what the armor looks like. The diamond armor has this exact same gradient that I put on the swords. And you'll notice I kept the outline of the armor the same as the rest of the Nebula 16X default recolor textures, because I wanted it to be obvious that this is diamond and not just yellow-blue. Other than that, guys, the only other original texture that I included in this texture pack was actually the crosshair. So I found that when I create edits of other texture packs, it's really easy to tell it's really easy to tell what texture pack I edited it from, and that really makes it look unoriginal. So for this texture pack, I decided to take some of the key items that really stand out as Nebula 16X and change them. So obviously the swords and the armor were the first two, although most of it's still the same. But I think the one thing that I've definitely only seen in Nebula 16X is the crosshair. So I decided to make my own custom crosshair. As you guys know, my channel name is ScissorCraft, but my in-game name is actually X-Scissor. Now you're probably thinking, oh, well, Scissor wasn't available, so you just made it X-Scissor. And that's partly true. However, the reason I did X-Scissor and not some other fancy combination with scissor in it, the letter X actually does have some unique significance, and the way that works is basically the Pokemon Sizer, which is where basically my name and skin comes from. It has I was never really a huge Pokemon guy, But I really wanted my mascot to be this Pokemon. And when I played Pokemon Go, I would always use Scissor, and I was always use the attack X Scissor, I believe it was called. Which basically, when you used it, it would say X Scissor on the screen. There'd be like a green X would appear in the sky after he like slashes the air, and then the other Pokemon would like take damage or whatever. And basically, that's kind of where my name actually came from. And so when I went to create a texture, what am I talking about? A crosshair. I needed a actual shape, a unique shape to create it in, and when the more I thought about it, the more I realized how much it makes sense. I could actually make that shape an X. Now, obviously, you're thinking, oh well, isn't the default crosshair just an X? And yes and no. It's an X if you turn it, but it's actually sort of a plus sign. So basically, what I did was I just took the default crosshair and flipped it flipped it around so that it's an X rather than a plus sign. And this may seem a little bit lame, however, it does have use other than just being a crosshair. So basically, I don't know if you've ever seen any bridging texture packs in which you bridge, but basically, most bridging texture packs that are good for bridging, they have an arrow crosshair, and what this means is that the crosshair looks kind of like an arrow pointing upwards. And this helps for bridging because it's a 90-degree angle, meaning that you can line it up really easily with the side of the block to line up things like God Bridge, so that you don't fall off. And to keep it original, basically, this X is just the arrow crosshair, but mirrored upwards. So it's like two arrows, one facing down, one facing up. So it's the same arrow crosshair, but with an extra arrow. So the one of the arrows is obviously going to be useless, but it looks a lot better in my opinion than just a regular old arrow crosshair. Which is why I decided to use this. And so now it not only has some symbolism involved, but it's actually useful. You can use it for God bridging. Now don't quote me on that. I'm not really a God bridger, so I don't know if this crosshair actually works. It might have to be like HD or something to actually line it up correctly. But I don't know. I thought it was a nice touch, and I'm pretty proud of making my first original crosshair. Other than that, guys, I don't own anything in this texture pack, so it's not really gonna go through everything, but I really just like all the textures in Amethyst 16X, so that's why I decided to use it as a background. I also just like I also just like all of Looshy's packs with the recolors. Makes it really good for base packs, and plus they always have really lots and lots of textures that are not too far from default, but they're all different from default, if that makes any sense. GG's. Alrighty guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this texture pack. I think it's pretty cool. And with that guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Scissorcraft out.